How far would you go to protect your loved ones? Would you go to the end of the earth? Would you go into the wild and do whatever you need to track them down if they've been kidnapped? I think I would. What about you?
I'm Duncan MacLeod of the Clan MacLeod, born 400 years ago in the. Well, no, not really. That was a TV show called Highlander. So, just listen to Rocking at the Movies with me, Adrian, Paul, and Shane comley-White, and you'll learn some interesting facts.
Hello and welcome everybody. My name is Shane comley-White and you're with me at Rocking at the Movies, and today we are going to be touching on the next episode, which is called Mountain Men from season 1. It is a fantastic one. I actually really enjoy this movie, or this episode as well. And the reason is because it takes you in a completely different way and how you see Duncan MacLeod and what kind of nature he has, what kind of protective nature he's got automatically built in, where he will stop at nothing to get to the point where he can protect his family. And this is exactly what happens in this episode itself. So just to break it down quickly, Tessa is, as you know, Tessa is an artist. So she goes out and she tries to look for inspiration, and she tries to find things that she can actually do to draw and maybe get inspired to make certain pieces of art. That will come down the line as well, that you'll see some of her art being featured in some of the episodes. So she goes on a mission. So she leaves Richie at the antique store, and then she goes on her own little mission to go to these native, old, ancient rock paintings. And this is obviously in the woods itself. So if you know which woods they are, please drop it in the comment and let us know, because we'd actually like to know which woods they filmed this in. I'll be telling you at a later stage. We'll be doing a breakdown on all the different locations where a lot of the scenes were filmed. So you got to stay tuned for that episode itself. Now, going back to what happens, Tessa goes out on her own mission. She goes, parks her car, and she starts wandering through these woods. But she's a little bit, in a way, naive to what kind of dangers there are. She doesn't realize that she's been watched. She doesn't realize that she's been stalked, in a way, by 3 individuals who are already the baddies, the ones who kind of rob the convenience stores for their own personal gain and then disappear again back into the woods. And this is where Mountain Men, or Mountain Man, actually comes about. So we follow Tessa into the woods. She comes across this one space where she wants to actually do the drawings itself, or capture what she is looking out for. And she then gets approached by not 1, not 2, but 3 individuals who know the woods like the back of their hands. And obviously they are led by an Immortal, which we don't know at the time, but we kind of gather that it could be. And this guy's name is Caleb Cole, and he's got his son as well, and his son's name is Joshua. And then they've also got another individual who kind of joined the party because he was also running away from the law, and he just wants to be part of something that doesn't have to answer to any government or any kind of authority, and they just do their own thing. And that is Eddie Doyle. And Eddie is a little bit of a hothead. He doesn't really have a good nature to him, so he is the bad guy. Joshua is, I would say, he's caught up in this environment by default because of what Caleb did. Now, I'll touch on Caleb and Joshua and also Eddie at a later stage in the next episode that I'm going to be launching itself, and you'll get a little bit more background of who they are, what they are, and how it all came about. So the interesting part about this episode is it makes you realize what kind of life an immortal could actually lead. Now, are they lonely? Are they hermits? Are they violent? Are they dangerous? Are they like Duncan, who's kind of settled and calm, but he's alert at all times? So what kind of personality are you as an immortal at that particular moment? And this is where Caleb kind of shows us a completely different side. He's got a great intention for himself, but that intention has been shown in a very dangerous way, and a very predatory way as well. So ultimately what he's looking for is he's looking for a wife. He's looking for someone to create a home with. He wants that companionship. And he comes across Tessa, and obviously he's attracted to her, or it might just be that she's the only one that's around at the time, and he feels she's an easy mark or an easy target. But this is where it tells you that the loneliness of Immortals is actually quite evident, because he's now trying to gather all these people. So first of all, we see him going after Tessa. He kidnaps Tessa. He kind of forces her to to be part of their little family circle or their little family unit, obviously against her will. Now, she doesn't want to do that. And even if she says that she's married or engaged to whoever it might be, Caleb doesn't care, because he believes that she will learn to love him. She will learn to be part of their family. And that is where it's very interesting, where the common sense or the good nature of a human connection is completely out the window. He just wants what he wants, and he wants to make sure that it happens. No matter how long it takes, it will happen. She'll learn to love them. She'll learn to be part of who they are. Or that's his mindset. So it's quite interesting to see how Caleb forces this narrative through Tessa, and also it shows us how lonely an immortal life could actually be. So the question I'm going to ask you, and please drop it in the comment and let me know as well, is if you knew this was one of the major parts of being immortal, would you be happy to be alone? Would that be something that you would willingly choose? Or do you need to have the family around you? Can you survive by yourself, or do you need that family unit? I'm sure I know what most of the answers are. I'll drop mine as well. I'll drop my comment in once everyone starts with their comments, and let me know so I can actually engage with you as well. It would be great. So going back to what happens now, this is where the Duncan element comes in, the protective Duncan, the very animalistic kind of Duncan, the wild Duncan comes into play, because he arrives back home, and Richie then thought, okay, it's going to be Tessa, she's coming home now, but it's actually not. And Tessa's been out a long time, very, very late. And he gets, you can see there's a little bit of concern. And he kind of tells Duncan what's going on and where she went. And Duncan's like, no, that there's something now. She should be back by now. Now, keep in mind, this is very interesting. Back then, there were no cell phones. So they couldn't just pick up the phone and say, hey, Tessa, where are you? Nope. Even if they're in the wild, I'm sure there would be cell phone signal nowadays in most of those places, even if it is a sat phone or whatever else you might want to use. But they didn't have that then. So it's quite interesting that they would have to wait for Tessa to get back to the guard hut or the information store, whatever they have right at the entrance of this reserve, and she would have to phone from there if she had any problems or any trouble. Or you go and you find her, and that's exactly what Duncan did. So he went out on his mission to try find Tessa, because that's the love of his life. That's his family. And he's going to do whatever he needs to do to make sure that she is safe. And it's quite interesting, because what happens is, as he arrives, there's already police around, so you already know that something has gone wrong. And makes us wonder, okay, are they already reporting that Tessa's missing, or is it something else? But it's a very, very quick interaction between everyone. And what happens is we find out that guard hut, or that information place, which is a little bit of a shop as well, so it has a bit of supplies for camping and fishing and whatever else you might have. I'm assuming that's what they do have there. They were robbed by Caleb and his two boys, and because they need